Starved Outs presents Entrepreneur Slices. Top articles read aloud on the go for entrepreneurs and small business owners. I'm your host, Jared Easley. Today's article is The Only 2 Good Reasons to Work for Free. It's by Dixie Gillaspie, and it was featured on entrepreneur.com. If you're like most entrepreneurs, you get hit up to work for free. Someone wants to pick your brain. Yes, if the contents of your brain usually have a price tag higher than a cup of coffee, then coffee is good brain-picking work for free. Or they want you to speak, consult, design, troubleshoot, or otherwise provide your products or services for charity, for the exposure, for the goodwill, or just because they don't want to pay for it. As many reasons as there are for people to ask you to work for free, there are only 2 good reasons to do it. They are equally good reasons, but you should never use the first to justify the second. Number 1, it's marketing. Every business should have a marketing budget. Benchmarks vary by industry, but let's say you decide to budget a minimum of 5% of gross revenue. That may not be much money, but a lot of entrepreneurs don't spend even 5% on their marketing efforts. What do? They network. They use social media, they take their clients to lunch and ask for referrals. They avoid spending money by leveraging their 2 other resources, time and energy, to make up for what they aren't investing in dollars. That's great so long as they follow the same principles for their time and energy investment as they would for a monetary investment, which means having a clear strategy for their efforts and an eye on their return. So if doing the work for free fits your marketing strategy and you believe the investment represents a reasonable expectation of return, then it might be well worth saying yes. Your guidelines may differ, but here are the questions I ask before investing time and energy instead of dollars. If I were spending money, how much would I be willing to invest? Let's take a conference, for instance, at which I've been asked to present for free. If I had to pay for a sponsorship to get in front of that audience, I'd be weighing the potential return against the investment. I'd be asking questions like, how closely does this audience align with my most profitable niche? And how much impact will this exposure allow me to have on the audience? Based on my conclusions during the line of inquiry, I'd decide if I was willing to invest marketing dollars to promote my business at that event, and if so, how many dollars I was willing to invest. Once I know that, I can do a pretty fair calculation of how much time and energy I should allow myself to put into presenting in exchange for exposure. That raises some questions. Do I have the time and energy to invest? If I plan to invest dollars, I have to make sure those dollars are valuable without putting other financial obligations at risk. The same is true of time and energy. If doing a project is going to stretch me too thin to take care of other obligations, then I'm either going to spend money paying someone else to take something off of my plate, or I'm going to shortchange someone in my business or personal life. Unless this is a huge opportunity, it isn't worth that. If it is a huge opportunity, see above, it may be worth it to pay for some assistance so that I can take the project on, even if I'm not getting paid. Will I have to invest money as well as time and energy? Depending on the type of product or service I'm being asked to provide, there may be hidden or not so hidden monetary costs as well. If I'm being asked to speak, I may be expected to provide handouts or pay my own travel costs. Or as I mentioned, I may need to pay additional staff to cover tasks I won't have time or energy for if I take the project. Is it something that aligns with my personal values and my brand? This should go without saying, but it's actually my first question. If the answer is no, then the other questions don't matter. So what do I do if I go through my checklist and conclude that it just isn't a good marketing investment? Then there's the second good reason to work for free. Number 2, just because I want to. That's right, because the project is in my heart space. It gives me joy. I hope you never work for free out of guilt, and I hope you never fool yourself into thinking you did it for the marketing when you really did it just because. But if you have the time, money, or energy, feeling good is reason enough to invest in it. Anything or anyone you choose. Again, this article is The Only 2 Good Reasons to Work for Free is by Dixie Gillaspie and featured on entrepreneur.com. Thank you for listening to Entrepreneur Slices. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider going to Stitcher Radio if you're listening on Stitcher and leaving a review. If you're listening on iTunes, you can leave a rating and review. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. That really helps to increase the visibility of the show. We appreciate you listening. If you'd like to reach out, I'm Jared. You can say hello on Twitter at Jared Easley. In the meantime, we'll have some more articles coming soon. Thanks for listening to Entrepreneur Slices.